Hey, it's just so Trish, and this is the 10 reasons why I homeschool and the 5 top tips I have for you. This is a collab that got started by Tangi gave me a heads up and I want to jump in, and I also want to invite you to go ahead and make a collab too. This is a great virtual homeschool co-op question that everybody in virtual homeschool land should totally jump in on. Okay, anyways, the top 10 reasons why I homeschool. All right, so number 1, the system failed me. Yeah, I was in reading labs and everything else. I was thrown into dropout prevention and literally was told I wasn't gonna leave town, make it to a university, and nor was I gonna finish college, or would I even start college? Okay, number 2 is the fact that I found when I put my kids in school, there became this distortion of authority. So in kind of 2 ways. One, it became at times when I would give suggestions or things, that's not how my teacher said to do it. That is like my number 1 thing I cannot stand. That's not what my teacher said. And all of a sudden, like, my kids kind of have this place where they can be like, hey, I have this person that's over you, and you know, and in many ways, like it or not, when you drop off your kids to the school system, you have just given up authority. And I have a hard time with that. I don't care for it. I don't want to relinquish that authority. They're my responsibility, so I'm maintaining my authority on them. Number 3, I don't really care for the way that curriculum has changed so much. And in many ways, it feels like the kids are being programmed to not trust their own judgment. And now, granted, if you have not spent time training yourself and you've spent time, what's the word? You know, you have to cultivate your understanding, but you should get to a point that you've mastered subjects that you can understand and trust your judgment on things. And a lot of times there's this like shady math. I consider Common Core shady math. And like there's this way to do it, and it's like this mystery box, is it right or wrong? To the point that the child can't even trust if they got it right, so they have to go check with authority. And there's that feeling of like checking in. And I'm not gonna be like all conspiracy theorist here or anything, but it just kind of seems like it's programmed to be that way. I don't know, it just seems programmed to be it that way. So yeah, I want my kids to understand and learn like 2 + 2 is 4. It's 4 every time. 7 and 7 times 7 is 49. Every time it's 49. 2 squared is 4 every time. Just, you know those things. That's what it is. You know your vocabulary. That's what it is. And on top of it, I feel like the time spent in schools and what gets done is just super inefficient. It's just like the most inefficient use of time. If I'm going to inefficiently use my time that way, then let me go lay in a pool. Let me go, you know, do something relaxing, not sitting in a school. It's just, I feel like it's inefficient, and I hate to call it a time waster, but I kind of feel like it is. Number 5, I am not really thrilled with the content or style. Yeah, the content or style. I will tell you, I remember reading 2 works of literature my entire school career: Canterbury Tales and Island of the Blue Dolphin. Great literature I've actually read since graduating and having that experience. I'm not gonna lie, I had my geometry class, I don't think he taught anything more than calculating the area of a shape. He was doing his statistics for swimming. He's a swim coach. I had another one, I think he was drinking. I think he was running to the coat closet to go have a drink through class. It was notorious. Like, it was all like kind of like we all knew what he was doing. He was heading to the coat closet to drink. I'm not really thrilled with the content. And even now, like, they've updated their stuff and they do a lot of busy stuff and they cover a lot of curriculum or a lot of topics, but not very in depth. And it's just like kind of like fact throwing at you. And they're not reading nearly the amount of classic literature, so you're not character developing your character at all. So for me, I'm just like, nah, I don't really care for the content and style of public school. And that's one of the reasons I love to homeschool, is because I can pick what I want, when I want, how I want, the style I want. I can change it up. I like to change it up. And I have that freedom to do that. Number 6, I feel like public school curriculum is designed to program the need of God away. It's all about, it feels like this, like, I haven't read any books that tell me this, but just like my experience, it just seems like there's no place for God to be evident there. It's almost designed so that there's no need for God. And I'm a product of public school. I came to find Christ just fine. And I weigh that out. But at the same time, it would have been nice to have been more able to know the evidence of God in things. So my understanding could have had, that's the best way I can put it. And you're going to be times like your test says, what are the levels of what's the big one everybody gets into? What are the different, because you got creation and evolution. So what are the whatever of evolution? Well, now, are you supposed to submit that as though I know this as fact, or I know this as this is a belief kind of deal? I'm not new earth, old earth kind of arguments, but it's just kind of like there's this secular, public school's secular, and there's this secular way of thinking, and this is the only thing right. And sometimes it can be so one-sided that there's no room for all the other stuff. And it's almost like a programming of like none of the God stuff. And I just want my children to see all of it. Not just, I don't want to just be like, we don't look at secular and we're over here, so don't see anything secular, it's all God. I want them to see it all. I want them to have that exposure and see God in the things, and then see the parts where we're failing to see God, or we're seeing the fine design, design something. So that's one of my reasons I homeschool. Number 7, I kind of already alluded to this. I am not always impressed with the staff at the school or the teachers. Yeah, from my own personal experience. One of my teachers got fired. He was having relations with a student. Yeah. One of mine was drinking on campus. Yeah. My favorite one smoked on campus even though he wasn't supposed to, but he was a good guy and I kind of give him grace. He's my favorite teacher. But I don't consider that nearly as, he wasn't drinking on campus. He didn't drink. Anyways, the power went out again. I am not always the most thrilled or impressed with the staff that is chosen to educate. And I'm sorry, as much as you want to play as a teacher, my personal life has nothing to do with me teaching your kid. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because whether you admit it or not and you don't see something wrong with it, as you're sitting there like reliving your glory days of high school with high school students saying like, you're like gold couples. Don't put that pressure on a high school kid. Seriously. It shows up. And I'm not impressed. And the other aspect is there's all kinds of staff, even though they go through the background checks, that I would never, ever, ever want my children to be around. And when I put them in that school system, guess how much choice I have? None. And that's one of my reasons. I don't have a choice on who's around my kids and who is being exposed to my kids. No, thank you. No, thank you. One of my favorite ones, and this has been accused of why I homeschool and don't put them in the school system. It's because you don't want to wake up. So number 8 is all about, I don't want to adhere to somebody else's calendar or schedule. I will make my own. Sometimes not very well, but it's still my own. I'm not stuck running like a crazy person because I'm trying to adhere to where you think we need to be for your benefit, or supposedly mine, but whatever. I don't want to be racing all over and having to decide days on certain things because I have to pay attention to other stuff, like the school system, the school calendar, whatever. Some days 8:15 is not an option at all because there's just chaos. I live in the land of chaos. One of the worst experiences I had was having my kids in school when I was pregnant, because the time to wake up was when my body shut, or the time to pick them up was the time my body shut down. It was really hard to get there. And then I look like a loser mom. I'm not a loser mom. My body just shuts down at this hour because that's what pregnant bodies do. And there's like no room for that. And then there's like that idea that you can come help. But if you got a pile of little kids, you can't go help. You can't go be part of the class. You got a pile of little kids coming with you. They don't want that there. They want you, not your kids. Number 9, for the reason we homeschool. One of my biggest reasons, and we've had a few stints where we've gone to school and it showed up immediately. I feel like having this time together, my kids are building lifelong friendships with each other. I mean, the highest quality. They're going to be a tight-knit siblings. And the value of that is huge. I'm watching family members that are in their 80s that grew up, siblings that grew up so tight-knit, and you watch them, and there's no bigger support group than that group that they have. I mean, they're like, they're life goals. I mean, they're serious life goals whenever you're around any of them. And it's because they have each other. They have each other as they're going into their 90s. And as they lose one of, a sibling here and there, it's devastating to that pack. But at the same time, they're so strong and they're so resilient. And I want that for my kids. And I want them to be that tight. I don't want them to be destructive from each other. What I found is when they were in school, they no longer bonded. I mean, right now, my kids don't even see ages. They see no difference in age. My son has made a best buddy because they like to Minecraft and they like to do some of the same stuff. They do 4-H. The kid's 2 years younger than him. My son doesn't even care. Doesn't care. Doesn't even faze him. He's not even worried like, what grade are you in? And to be honest, I don't know very many 39-year-olds that graduated in 96 that I hang out with. I mean, most of them are like maybe a couple years younger, a couple years older, 10 years older, 10 years younger, 15 years. I don't know. There's no age category. And I really like that aspect by homeschooling. You kind of rip that age segregation barrier down. But the number 10 reason, I don't know, there's no order in any of these, that I homeschool is because I enjoy the fact that we can self-pace when needed. My son didn't learn to read until he was in 3rd grade, and when he learned, he jumped from not reading at all to reading a year ahead in 1 year. If he would have been in the school system, I don't think it'll ever have happened. In fact, I think he would have been programmed that he was dumb and there was no point of him pushing himself and that he was incapable, because that was already starting at home and there wasn't peer pressure going on. It would have been horrible in the school system. And my kid would be a statistic because of it. More and more proof why I homeschool. All right, the top 5 tips I have for you. So now that you made it through the 10 reasons I homeschool, 5 tips I'm going to tell you if you are thinking about, if you're homeschooling, my 5 tips. My 5 tips for homeschooling. My 5 practical tips. Number 1, because in some of these I've had to learn the hard way. Your curriculum is a resource for you to get the job done. The job is to teach your kid. To teach your kid and learn. You don't have to live and die by that curriculum. That curriculum is a resource. Use it to the benefit of your home and your child. If you have to add from it, delete from it, supplement it, whatever, it's your resource. They're set up for 180 days. That's just how it is, because that's kind of like the number of days you school. But it doesn't mean you have to do all 180 lessons. If you got the gist of it, move on if you want to. It's all up to you. Number 2, gain experience from other homeschool moms. Curriculum reviews. I mean, YouTube, let me tell you, a couple years ago, there were hardly any homeschool YouTubers. And now there's a ton of them. There's so many people that are sharing their experience on organizing. They're sharing their experience on organizing, curriculum review, their daily vlogs, a day in the life. Go to them. They're great places. Bloggers, Facebook groups, get in community with these homeschool moms and share from their experience, because it's going to help you a lot and really show you things that can be done. Number 3, not everybody's into this one, but my practical advice is Go on vacation and go to a homeschool convention. It will rock your mind. It will rock your mind. It is worth it. To me, it is worth the money. It is worth the trip. It is a great place to motivate. It's a great place to be encouraged. It's a great place to be in a room full of other crazy people like you and me. Yeah, that's one of my favorite reasons. In fact, I'm going to 2 this summer. Bam! Go to them. Make the time, make it a priority. It will be, you will not regret going. You won't regret. Number 4, this kind of pairs up with the homeschool convention, but it's also on its own. Do some professional development for your homeschool mom self. Okay, seriously. So at the conventions, usually there are workshops and speakers. Go. There's a lot of times you can buy them on MP3. I know that FPEA.com, Florida Parent Educator Association, which is the Florida Homeschool Association, they have all of their workshops MP3, and you can buy them by the piece or you can buy them as a convention. Go in there, take a look, buy them. I mean, they're maybe like $4, cheaper than, having to make accommodations. And listen, and do some professional development as a homeschool mom. This will help you in the long run. Everything from how to handle an ADHD kid, how to get your kid off the refrigerator, how to do geometry, how to teach math when you don't know math, how to teach reading when you don't know how to do reading, how to do it all, how to be internet safe. All those things happen, and plus more. I mean, there's thousands of workshops, and I'm sure pretty much every convention has the MP3s recorded that you can go back and buy and listen. Invest in yourself as the professional homeschooler. I know it's not a paid job, but you're worth it, and so is your family for doing it. So definitely do the professional workshops. Okay, number 5, and the most important practical tip I have for you is your homeschool. Do it the way that fits you. As much as it's like, hey, you can go and look at all this stuff, go to all these conventions, and I've been guilty of it, especially as like I'm just overwhelmed, and I'm like, let me see how somebody else does homeschooling, and I'm going to duplicate their system. Now, granted, at the end of the year, there are some things that I duplicated that were fantastic, but in the end, I usually flop and fail because I'm trying to duplicate somebody else's world into mine. It works so well for them because it's their world, and my world isn't their world. Just like you, I could show you all kinds of things, but I'm not an expert in your home. I'm just an example of mine. And so as you're looking at all these resources and you're watching all these people with beautiful homeschool rooms and perfect places and the dishes are done, 1, that's social media. 2, that's their home, not yours. You do what fits for you, and you do what fits for your family, what fits for your children, and what fits for you as mom. Because I'm going to let you in on a secret. A secret tip number 6. Just because sometimes it's the way your kid learns best, or the way your kid likes to learn, doesn't mean it's the way mom likes to teach. I got the perfect example. One of my best friends is like such a hands-on Charlotte Mason lover of school. And it's all about like this experience learning. And she has 8 children and she likes to sit them at the table, and they're constantly like, they will try to beat her in the morning because they know that she starts at 7:30. They'll get up at 5 to try to do their work so they don't have to sit down and do it with her because they know it'll take longer. My kids, on the other hand, I'm kind of like, here's your work, go do it, we're done. My kids would love to have her. She would love to have my kids. But we got to do what's best for mom. Now, in her situation, she ended up having to relinquish that style and give her kids something else that they benefited from. In my end, I ended up having to relinquish and giving my children something that worked out better for them and me. So we kind of came in the middle. But you need to do what works best for you and that you're capable of doing for your kids. Because if you try and get something that like a read aloud that you have to read aloud for 2 hours a day and you are just not into that or have the time, your curriculum's never going to get done. Spoken from experience. So do what mom can handle. Or as my stepmom would always say, only punish them the punishment you're able to handle. So don't punish them and ground them for a month and you'll be over it and you have to pay the consequences after 4 days because you're kind of over it, but you have to stick to your grind. Same thing with curriculum. All right, there you go. If you have your 10 reasons of homeschool video done, let me know you did one so I can go run over there and take a look. Also, if some of them are the same that you have your conviction to homeschool, let me know. And if you got some other ones, let me know. And if you got some better tips, let me know. Hey, let me know what you think. Tell me your experience. And also, please like my video. You know the little thumbs up thing right there? And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button somewhere here. It's red. It's about this big. It says subscribe. And if you want to know when I go live, hit the bell right next to it, and you'll always get notified that I've got a video out. I do a lot of videos. I do a lot of curriculum review, and I like interviewing curriculum publishers. So it's always kind of a good thing to stick around, and I might have something you want. Anyways, don't forget to, I think I have a subscribe something somewhere here. And, you know, like, this video might be good for you. All right, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.